Hopefully we're gonna actually beat this game today. Yeah, cause boy howdy did Alant kick my ass in the last stream I did. Hey everybody, how's it going? Um, so as the title suggests, I'm gonna be hoping to finish this game tonight. I don't know how long it may end up taking me because Alant turned out to be a lot more of a handful than I expected, but at the very least, you know, we've got some stuff that we can do to help mitigate the amount of time it'll take. But what I'm gonna do ahead of that is get some more ephemeral stones to get my health up to full at least. I apologize if I hiccup and sniffle a couple times. I just had a fairly spicy late night dinner, so if I'm a bit sniffly, that's why. Just had spicy food, which is always fine because I like spicy food. Had a nice chicken burrito with some hot sauce and some horchata right now. I love horchata. So tasty.
Oh god, it's delicious. So tasty.
Also, it looks like... Did I just get plague? What the fuck? I literally just loaded in. It's weird. But yeah, besides, I suppose, okay, I guess I just suddenly start with plague. If it wasn't for the fact that I get stones easily here. Something else that I think I'm gonna try is getting a couple levels back, because the Alant's King Alant soul level drain, like it hasn't hurt me too badly because all it's really done is just drained my endurance. But the fact that my defense and dodge capability is tied to my endurance makes my job of fighting him a lot harder. This track's not yielding it. This run is not yielding anything. Let's head back. But yeah, I've been hope all you are doing well. I've been doing okay. Mostly just trying to keep everything as together as I can. With a lot of news that's gone around. Apparently some person leaked Tears of the Kingdom, the new Zelda game, and God, don't you just love how the gaming community can be so, like, united in their passions, but so, like, completely just impatiently insane about, like, new releases and sort of the integrity of just that? Like, I hate to be the guy that says this is why we can't have nice things, but it is kind of why we can't have nice things. Call 10, thank you for the follow. But yeah, it's like, I remember a friend of mine and I talked about, like, emulation and stuff, and about how, you know, it has its place sometimes in gaming. And one thing that we both kind of agreed on regarding this is, how's the way to put this? To call 10, hello. Hello, welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well. So, I don't know how to put this, but, we discussed, like, emulation-based things. But yeah, I see that you are a Player Michaelis viewer. Welcome. Welcome to the channel. So, Maneater definitely is interesting. Maneater's deal was fun, albeit until the second guy showed up, and I'm like, ugh. God, like, God, that VOD got really dicey. But yeah, we're just grinding up some ephemeral stones before we fight Alant again. Before I get completely flattened, and not in the fun way. And what was I on about? Right, emulation and stuff. So my friend and I came to the agreement that emulation is good up to the point where it's like a console's which lifespan is just not there anymore. Like it had its time in the sun, but you know it's gone. Nel Futado. Is that the name of the track for Maneater? Got one. Yeah, honestly, these things kind of do give off like the very Kirby with knife energy. I will agree. Yeah, the general consensus we came to is that once a console's like time in the sun is done, that's usually a good enough point to, like, yeah, that's where emulation kind of comes in. So things like the Wii, the GameCube, the DS, now the 3DS and Wii U, like clearly when this console's just gone, that's the point where you just go ahead and do that. Not like, or if at the very least, if you're going to emulate something new, buy a physical copy or a digital copy of the game that you're emulating to at the very least show support towards the devs. You know, because terrible company policies or no, there are just artists and programmers and musicians that work in these games that, you know, need that money to be supported. And when you emulate, none of them get that. So, you know, the newer stuff, yeah. But then we get into things like where someone apparently created a PlayStation 1 emulation within the month or week of the PlayStation 1's first release. And that's a case where we're talking about emulation being invasive to the industry. And yeah, gamers can end up being about as invasive to the industry as they do help the industry sometimes. And it's really head-scratching, just the logic loop that some choose to work on. Like, emulation's done a lot of cool stuff. Some cool stuff probably didn't get accomplished until emulation. Like, I'm playing a ROM hack of a Fire Emblem game that I really like, and that has to be done through an emulator, but
I can forge weapons for you.
I don't know. I just think there's a certain point where, you know, if you truly want your thing to be good and be here soon, you gotta exercise a little patience, and sometimes gamers are not good at that. So that's why we get Tears of the Kingdom leaks literally like a week before the game comes out. Is it a week? When does Tears of the Kingdom release again? And I'm gonna have to avoid spoilers like the plague, because I do plan on getting it, but I don't plan on, like, I'm not sure if I want to stream it, because I've got a couple games on the docket, and I'm not sure if I want to fit another one in there. I don't know. And it was May 12th, so yeah, it is actually next week. God damn, next week! Next fucking Friday is the release of Tears of the Kingdom. That's gonna be I'm imagining the eShop's gonna either crash or slow horrifically. But yeah, I'm not ow. Ow. Wait, why am I healing? I should just get more healing items. But yeah, this is just gonna be like the start of this will be a bit of grinding combined with some what's the word I'm looking for? Combined with a bit of item and experience grinding because, you know, as I said, I did get hit a couple times hard by Alant's soul level flattening technique. You know, like, Demon Slayer, it is 4 a.m. Time for your soul level flattening. Yes, old King Alant. You know, those things. So if I could at least get maybe 1 or 2 levels back into my endurance, that would be peachy. And I'm not going to attempt to kill the blue dragon because I don't have the resources for it. And even if I did, like, the thing that I'm not the biggest fan of is that this emulates that older... Well, not emulates. It has... The fucking way that you're supposed to destroy the blue dragon just does not jive with me at all. I hate that you have to cheese your interaction with it to even, you know, get to it. It's like, yeah, it helps because, like, killing it would be good thanks to the fact that the blue dragon's such a pain to walk through, but I figured out the pattern, if my memory serves right. There. Yeah, if these things give 3,000, these guys give 3,000 souls a pop, I can be completely okay with just doing a little bit of healing item and stone grinding. Just gonna lure him down. Come down here, friend. Your sword. I'm just gonna go outside. There we go. New moon grass. I mean, I'm definitely gonna end up with a lot of healing items by the end of this. It's just the ephemeral stones that I need because I burned through so fucking many of them throughout all the attempts that I had. So, I guess that's just kind of it. Sometimes, like, I understand people can really want the thing that they want early, or even just, like, a now situation. But there is a time and a place to have patience, and whoever leaked Tears of the Kingdom clearly did not recognize that. Or maybe they did, and they just didn't give a shit because they wanted to be a little gamer shart. You know, that can be a reason for some of them. Sometimes people want to leak stuff or spoil things because they just feel like, you know, they want to just ruin everyone else's fun of discovery. But I guess that's what muting words on social media is for. However useful it is, you know, depending on the platform. Actually, speaking of social platforms, I've been hearing that Blue Sky, was it Blue Sky? Yeah, I think it's Blue Sky Social. It's a new social platform being devved by, I don't know if it's like the guy that made Twitter originally, but it's like some former Twitter people, and it's currently going through like its beta stages, and I'm not gonna lie, that sounds like a fucking promising prospect after all the shit that's gone down. Take that. There we go. Full moon grass. All right, let's head back to the place and get some more stones. So that, yeah, I'm keeping my eye on that in particular because, you know, as much as Twitter has gone to shit, I still use it to a near addictive amount. It's really bad, but I do it because, like, I use it because it is a legitimately strong way to do some level of, like, networking yourself and staying connected even. Just being able to, like, see, you know, quick and dirty news real fast and simple. But when, but seeing as how all the stuff that happened went down and how it's gonna keep going down, you know, it's admittedly, you know, I'm just glad at the very least some alternatives are cropping up in the form of like Blue Sky social media and Hive, which is the other one I use, albeit quite barely because I don't know, when you develop a new thing, be it for social interaction, some things tend to get defaulted on there that are not things that you really want defaulted. Not anything horrible, but any platform alternative that's taking on a monopolied thing, well, not monopolied, but taking on a giant, as it were, in that field, like Twitter or Facebook. Like, unless a major push of some kind or a major amount of recommendations are done to, like, help it along, it's not going to really get that kind of, it's not going to get the backing that it needs because, you know, guess what? It's like small amounts of people, which means less discoverability, which means, you know, less possible money flowing into the pockets of the devs. So, you know, maybe Blue Sky will be a bit better because it's got more of a pedigree behind it. But we'll have to see. Because launching any new thing and having big and trying to make it big in that sense can be really daunting. And a lot of times it could yield fruit or it could yield to nothing. Like, I remember a website called vid.me, which on paper sounded legitimately awesome. It was essentially like a YouTube alternative that cropped up, I think, back in 2017 or so. And the purposes of that was to essentially, the purpose of it was essentially to allow for people to directly support the content creators they wanted to support via like a tipping system on top of like regular ad revenue, at least according to what I saw. It was essentially YouTube with a more direct line tipping thing. And, you know, on the outset that sounded neat, but of course, because it just could not get a foothold, it just ended up flatlining, full on. I'll probably like look up more details in a minute to tell you about it, because it did legitimately sound like a nice alternative. It just, and it had, to my memory, it had a decent layout, but again, like without like any kind of, I don't know, there were some YouTubers that I remember seeing that were backing it and were putting their stuff Hey gamers, I was just talking about social network alternatives and about how Blue Sky Social could potentially be the new Twitter, but you know, we've seen alternatives crop up and go, but if a proper pedigree and a good foothold like user base is in, maybe it'll actually, you know, function. Love to see. I'm also grinding these enemies for the items they drop, because I need more of these things, the blue stones that can restore my body. Yeah, I was just talking about how, though Twitter is useful and has been informative to inform me in terms of like world news or gaming news especially, let's face it, it's a volatile platform for a reason, you know? Lest we fucking look at how someone's apparently analyzing the cinematic capabilities of Paw Patrol versus somebody apparently railing against someone who liked a scene in the latest Puss in Boots movie. You know, good site for learning about you know, updates regarding game news. Bad sites for people to ever have a genuine, decent interaction with one another. That's like the duality of social platforms. I just use Twitter to interact with online friends and look at memes. That's probably why I haven't seen any toxicity over it. I see more than my fair share of toxicity. My use of Twitter is mostly to retweet or like cool art, to promote my streams, and maybe interact with some mutuals. That's it. I never really bother, and it's kind of the same on Tumblr. Like, Tumblr's better, and as far as I've heard, Tumblr is actually pretty decent in terms of like how people interact with each other on it. But I don't know. Despite how I am on stream, I'm not a very actively talkative person. I don't tend to talk to people like unless I really want to or need to. So I mostly, again, use Tumblr to promote my streams and retweet cool art or stuff that I see. Like if somebody posts a funny Disco Elysium meme, I'll retweet that or reblog that if we're going Tumblr route. So, yeah, like not to knock anyone that genuinely enjoys the time there. Like, far from it. If you enjoy your time on those platforms, yeah. I remember when it was Twitter toxicity that one popular VTuber actually stopped making content entirely because of it. I know the exact thing you're talking about, and yeah, I do watch VTubers. You know, I enjoy them. They're fun, but man, that controversy. To me, seeing that and seeing people try to like create some kind of drama space around it, it feels like Twitter is turning into like a bad like reality TV show, you know? Like, so much of the stuff can sometimes feel artificially done, or like half the posts I see expect some kind of random cutaway to someone's like in a random camera offset to just be like, I can't believe I can't believe he subtweeted me about this one thing. I was supposed to do it and we were supposed to be amicable about it. But the problem is like a lot of the shit that crops up can, like, I don't know. I'm not gonna make any kind of big stakes on it because I am more of a casual viewer of them VTubers. Like, there are a few that I watch relatively consistently, but they also don't really stay involved in that drama either, because, you know, who wants to actively stay in the dramatic space? You know, who wants to actively be surrounded by the horrible things that some people say or do. I don't like that. That's not how I like to spend my day. What I like to spend my day doing is drinking coffee, playing video games, getting really pissed off at modern Yu-Gi-Oh mechanics, and fetching my dog. And taking my dog out for fetches, you know? Can confirm Tumblr exists in its own realm. Yeah. I don't want to get roundhouse kicked by Rex Quan, Olympian spy. Rex Kwando, Olympian spy. Or Imperial spy. Can I? I doubt I can parry it. Nope. I guess some weapons are just too large to parry. Avoiding the ordeal of being known. Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing that's kind of, you know, a deal whenever you carry any kind of following that, you know, does like to, you know, agree. I mean, this isn't an exclusively Twitter problem or a social media problem. Like, YouTubers, for instance, have talked in the past about how polarizing it can feel when, you know, you start your content creation stuff because it's for fun, and then you start making money off of it, so then it becomes a career, and then more people start to follow your stuff due to your career being good, and then you gain a following that can get very large very quickly, especially in the fast-moving world of things like YouTube, where, you know, people can gain hundreds of subscribers over the course of a day, a week, a month, and it can be scary. It, honest to Christ, can be one of the most scary experiences. Like sometimes if you gain some level of viewership, it can be sweat-inducing because it's like, oh God, I'm being viewed by how many now? Like, first off, where are all you coming from? Second off, what do I do about this? You know? Granted, a lot of it can be on the anxiety aspect of it, but let's face it, sometimes a following doesn't always sound like a good thing. I say as a Twitch streamer, but you all know what I mean, because like, because I'm a streamer by hobby, you know, like I'm not somebody that does this as a career prospect, and even if I did, it probably, like, because much like any career field or something, streaming's kind of turned into a weird, like, streaming's weird. Streaming and content creation's weird, but it's like, yeah, you need the following, but also the following can make a person their own downfall, you know? I'm not gonna give any specific cases where I've seen some followings turn really, really south, but I'm confident if all of you are as much on social media as I am, then you've likely seen a fair share of some bad community cases. Actually, bad community cases sounds like it'd be a really... You know what? Since I say that out loud, that actually sounds like it'd be a really interesting, like, video series. See, like, that's another thing, is like, when you get into streaming or content creation of any kind, often a person can turn into the brain of, like, we got the content creator brain on hand, because any new thing that sounds like it'd be interesting to you or interesting to others to see you do becomes content, you know? It becomes a content idea, which, you know, and that in itself is a can of worms that I dare not open up, because I've seen some things and seen some... Oh, you're one here. Hello. Ow. Uh-oh. I got killed by the meat bubbies. I know how bad things can get. Just watch Josh Scorcher's top 10 fails. He makes makes every year, and you know, to mess things up can be. I used to watch him a lot when I was younger. My first video, the first video I saw of his was a long time ago. Anonymity can bring out the worst of us, and the mob is always dumber than the individual. Oh, Christ, yeah. Like it's... Sometimes communities can become so insular and just toxic that I think his content is still good. Oh, yeah, no doubt. I mean, absolutely. It's just... Sometimes when you've... I mean, it's a very much impersonal thing. Like, my problem is just, it's just one of those things where you haven't watched a video in a long time of theirs, and you're like, okay, do I feel like I want to continue dedicating space? All respects to the guy, but I just kind of, I just stopped watching after a while. You know, sometimes that just be the deal. But I respect him a lot, though, and he helped form how I usually view other content due to how early I saw him during my first days into really getting into watching YouTubers. But yeah, insular content is definitely not an exclusively YouTube problem. I know what you mean. I don't know how long it's been since the last time I've seen a Jacksepticeye, Markiplier, or PewDiePie video. Yeah, and the thing is like, those content creators, I have not watched a single video from them. Like, I remember some of my friends in high school were obsessed with them, especially PewDiePie. And, you know, I didn't know who this guy was, and then I think I saw, like, one video of his, and I just felt like he kind of looked and sounded like... I don't know, I saw the look and sound of his videos, and it just wasn't my thing. Like, I could tell that much in high school. And when I could tell that much as a teenager, I'll probably roughly feel the same way as an adult. But I mean, you're also talking to a 26-year-old guy who's, like, who remembers the Fred days of YouTube, you know? Like, those old days. So, granted, we are at a brighter spot than we are now. A lot of content creators out there are very much positive forces in the world. Yikes, stamina seems to take forever to regenerate in this game. It's, well... I unequipped a thing that regens my stamina faster, and I did that, I think, because I wanted to get some better defense. But yeah, I am getting my ass kicked. I am losing healing. Ow. All this just to get more stuff. Wonder if there's an equivalent to Grass Crest Shield. There probably is. I mean, if not just the Grass Crest Shield itself. Because... if there's anything Souls games like to be, it's referential to each other. Probably about as much as a Mario series or something. Ow. Oh my god. These babies. I was a Mark fan myself. I related to the shouting game rants and dog ownership. A lot of people tend to... I mean, I hear just nothing but good stuff about Markiplier and his current content. But... I don't know, just I've had my times where I was just like, eh. Like, I'll admit that the guy's done a lot for his life, but I don't know why. It's just that the loud in-your-faceness kind of content. I don't know if it's any different now than he was before, but the sort of in-your-face loud kind of content to me just has not been my thing. Like, again, not to knock anybody that does enjoy it, but I just can't, yeah. I remember playing Dark Souls, and there was one audience member that was super triggered by me wearing heavy armor. Yeah, oh Christ, if you want to talk about communities that can act insular and just super, like, horrible to anyone trying to get into the series, do not look further. And I'm all right. Yeah, the second I walked over to that platform, I sealed my fate. Yeah. I've got 4 of them. I should. If I get like a couple more, I'll be. I think I'll feel comfortable trying for Elant again. But I need to get healing items. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy my first experience with Dark Souls was relatively tame. Albeit, I did have a stupid moment happen with Tarkus, which. God, I wish I had a clip of it. Like, those VODs are super old, so they're long gone by now. But I had a really bad moment happen with Tarkus. Not bad in, like, a horrible experience, just bad in, like, I didn't get to see the thing that other people saw. So, for the new people who have not seen the Dark Souls stuff I did, what happened was I went through Sen's Fortress and I did it relatively easy, relatively in brisk time. You know, found the bonfire on the ledge and all that. Took care of the firebomb throwing giant, and then I get to the, and then I remember Tarkus from a LP that I saw a while ago, and I summoned Tarkus. You know, as you do, because what is, all right. I summoned Tarkus, which people usually say, like, if you're gonna summon any NPC for your first playthrough, you summon Tarkus. And I did, and Tarkus's cool armor and everything showed up, and I was like, yeah, let's have a cool moment. I'll get to see it. I'll get to see Tarkus do some cool guy stuff. And then when I get to the boss with the Iron Golem proceeds to chain grab. Like, almost melee Marth-style chain grab Tarkus to death, leaving me to have to kill him. Having to kill the Iron Golem. Like, I'm standing at the area, and then the Iron Golem standing over Tarkus, grabs, slam. Tarkus gets up, grab, slam. Like, no variation. Neither of them moved. Tarkus could not attack because of how frequently the chain grabs kept going together. It was so... I both wanted to laugh and express bewilderment, but I did not know how. I remember my first time playing, I didn't find the ledge bonfire and didn't think I could make the jump. Hold on. God damn, these crossbows hurt. Didn't think I could make the jump to the cage key, so every time I died, I'd have to do the entire fortress all over again. Ooh. Also, I didn't know Tarkus until long after I already beat the Iron Golem. Yeah, I found out about it, again, thanks to the Super Best Friends Let's Play back when they were still doing Let's Plays like that. And I just, you know, because Dark Souls to me has kind of become like, and I guess FromSoft stuff in general has kind of turned into like gamers' Star Wars, which is really odd to say. Am I wrong in saying that? Because it feels like Dark Souls in some capacity is completely unavoidable. Granted, there are many a kind of gaming things that are unavoidable to the capacity of Star Wars, but Dark Souls attracts kind of a similar deal, I want to say. Granted, you know, not as volatile in terms of fan base interaction with the property, because every Dark Souls game has its qualities and are at least all considered good, whereas not all of Star Wars is considered good. I always thought Mario was gamer Star Wars. I don't know, like, what would you all say is the video game franchise equivalent of Star Wars is for gaming? Like, the kind of thing that like casual people would say that they adored or grew up with, or can have really, really, like, either heated or not heated discussions over. Because I don't see that happening with Mario. I could see that happening with Dark Souls. Like, even to somebody who may have only played all of the games once, or someone who has like 300-ish hours in each game and probably 18 different spicy artworks they commissioned of various characters. You know, there's always going to be some discourse of like, oh, no, like, your build was not correct in this way, or the meaning of it wasn't this, or something. Mario, at the very least, can always be considered a very positive force in gaming. You know, no one feels negative towards Mario unless it's the Chris Pratt announcement. Well, Mario's like the Star Wars of casual gaming that plays for fun. Dark Souls is the regular gamer Star Wars. There we go. See, there we go. Thank you. That makes sense. Well, Star Wars was the first to introduce the concept of a franchise with merch and even a holiday special. Mario has a lot more than just games, and they even just made a movie. That's true. Dark Souls has merch, but we don't have like a Dark Souls holiday special. Actually, I shouldn't say that out loud. That might give FromSoft the idea. Nah, they're too busy working on Armored Core 6. Actually, speaking of Armored Core 6, y'all see that gameplay and dev breakdown? That shit looks crazy. I'm not that into mecha stuff in general, but seeing that made me go like, oh, that's cool. Like, just something, like, I don't know what, like, that whole game just looks so fun. And apparently, according to what I've seen, like, definitely from what I saw in the gameplay, it looks definitely like a nice introductory space. Imagine Solaire with a Santa hat atop his iron helmet. I was thinking more like they just create Santa as a boss fight. Like, there is a Star Wars fans, and then there's Star Wars fans. Yeah. Like, there's the casual Star Wars fans that just kind of sees the big releases of the movies, but then there's the Star Wars fans that like see all of the movies, even the ones that are all hated, like 50 different times, and then, you know, buys all of the good and bad merch, reads all of the good and bad side content, like the, you know, like the books, the comics, etc. What else? Like, plays all of the good and bad games. I mean, I imagine Star Wars fans, despite the negative press regarding the performance issues of it, probably bought Jedi Fallen Order anyway. Not Fallen Order. Jedi Survivor anyway. Which, you know, if it's a good Star Wars game, good on them. Because apparently, you know, good Star Wars games can be hard to find. Or at least they're hard to it's hard to quantify one as like definitively good, because not all, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't really be speaking on this because I am not a Star Wars person. But I don't know. You want to know how little of a Star Wars person I am? I've literally only seen one of the movies, and it was the first one of the new trilogy. I have not seen any of the other Star Wars movies, so any discourse that exists in terms of Star Wars movies or side content, be they good or bad, I just kind of look at it and go, oh boy, this looks like it'd be terrible to join. This community looks like it hates everything. This community is just incredibly divisive. Like, and I would know a divisive community. I used to be a Ruby fan. New trilogy sucks. Yeah, I hear that's kind of the case. I don't know. I didn't mind the first of the new trilogy, but after kind of seeing how people react to it and why people find it not so good, I can understand, I suppose, in terms of like what people prefer in terms of their stuff. And then there's Trekkies. We make most of the merchandise ourselves. Yeah. Like Star Trek, again, I've only seen like one episode, and it was for a film class, and that episode itself was like the prequel to Wrath of the Khan movie. The first wasn't bad with many flaws. It was episodes 8 and 9 that ruined everything. Right. Because, I mean, it's not even just like, oh, you have the, you know, it's not as much of like, it's not as simple as like, oh, movies from the 70s are like cinematic masterpieces, and like anything else that was made that wasn't related to George Lucas is terrible. Because I remember, because when the prequel trilogy came out, a lot of people were, everybody still says those movies are terrible, and I mean, those were the ones where George was more involved. I don't know, because apparently some stuff is happening with like one of the latest seasons of Mandalorian, where people are really like unhappy with how the tone is going through that, from what I hear. But again, not a Star Wars person, so don't matter to me one bit. No, a college professor that talks about classics from that time being at the top movie rankings. Let's see, those were like 70s and 80s, right? God, which movies did I mean, there were a lot of good movies in the 70s and 80s. Star Trek Next Gen and Voyager are great. I will die on this hill. Some sci-fi stuff just I've seen and just kind of went okay and moved on. He considers the best movie ever to be 2001: A Space Odyssey. I haven't seen that. The only Kubrick movies I've seen... are A Clockwork Orange. I think that's it, actually. I think it's just A Clockwork Orange. Was it just that? I had to have seen another one than just that. Point is, I'm not as storied on his content either. I don't know. I'm not really the kind that just decides to sit and watch a movie unless it's something that I'll know I'll have a good... I know I'd have at least something of a time with, like with Sonic or Mario or the new Spider-Verse movie. Actually... Okay. Quick question. Did you all see the Spider-Verse trailer? Not there wasn't any new ones, but I mean like the one that has circulated the internet and everything and is usually in movie theaters. If you have, you'll know exactly what I mean. But if you haven't, you know, don't worry too much about a statement that I'm going to say. I remember seeing it, but I forget what it was about. It's just like showing a montage of like, you know, the apparent main villain of the new Spider-Man movie, alongside like how many other different kinds of Spider-Man are going to show up, how Miles' life and superhero balance is not going super well. But the main thing I want to bring up is that there was a specific moment, because I saw the trailer in a movie theater because I was seeing the Mario movie, and I saw the trailer, and then I turned to my dad and I said, they should have left that scene out of the trailer. They should have left that scene out of the trailer. I'm not going to say specifically what scene, so that anybody that hasn't seen the trailer can go into the movie blind and still think it's funny. But there is a specific trailer scene that really made me mad that it was in the trailer. If you know what I'm talking about, you know. But if you don't, then don't worry too much about it. Then be grateful you don't have my memory of remembering that, you know?
Come on, drop another stone. Drop another stone. Come on. Do it. Need more stones. Need like 2 more.
Don't I have an item that lets me have a higher drop rate? Might be the luck ring. Do I have a luck ring? I think that might be a Pathfinder item. I've been playing a lot of Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous lately and Kingmaker.
I can forge weapons.
Actually, I've stopped playing Kingmaker. Like, as fun as that game was, there was just a certain point in that game where I was playing it and I'm like, I am getting kind of tired of just spinning my wheels, waiting in-game days for something to come up. Wait. Was it a fragrant? Extremely rare, dirty, slowly MP. Defense against flame, resist to bleed. Defense against poison. What? Can't you slap blood pool babies all day? No. I want to get these stones I want so that I can fight the king again. Each time required casting. HP is low. Ancient Topaz subdues essence and discourages detection by black phantoms. I'm assuming that means people don't invade me. Raise it. There we go. That's what I'm looking for.
We are indebted to you.
We are indebted to you. All right, giant strength. I'm just gonna. If I don't have that ring on, I basically like just. All right, with that should help me get some more. Yeah, I'm not gonna. I will at least do the somewhat good deed of not saying what scene I saw in the trailer, but I saw it, and then I saw it again because that trailer is also on YouTube and has been playing in like the YouTube ads, and I'm just like, man, they could have saved that for the final release, and they didn't. Like. Because how fucking great would it have been to see that in a theater and have a whole eruption of laughter, like I've heard how other people had with Spider-Verse when it first, like the first Spider-Verse movie. But no, they thought they just wanted to include that joke in the trailer, and it is a punchline kind of thing. I completely forgot what led me to the Train of the Spider-Verse discussion. The one from before the Mario movie? Yeah, the trailer that came up, like, I was in the theater for the Mario movie, and it was the same trailer that you likely see around on the internet right now. And, you know, thanks to that trailer being of the same beats and all of that, I still am on that train of just like, that should not have been in the trailer. I was thinking, I think it was talking about Star Wars. Oh yeah, what? God, train of thought can really go anywhere, doesn't it? The Thought Express. So yeah, my deal about Star Wars and Star Trek and everything is that sometimes Twitter toxicity. Yeah. And I guess Twitter toxicity can also extend to a lot of media coverage and stuff and how it can be incredibly insular. Like, I brought up earlier about how one person can try to, like, really, really delve into the the well-done artistries of a Paw Patrol scene. And another person can, and people kind of start agreeing or clowning on them And then another person will try to praise the Puss in Boots movie for having a good way of portraying a panic attack, and then they'll also get clowned on. Twitter is just people trying to be genuine. Some people trying to be genuine and then just get clowned on. Because sometimes being genuinely excited about something can have a 90% chance of either getting clowned on or like having some jackass in the comments in the replies just go like, you shouldn't be excited about it because of X and Y reason, and I have no proof because I'm an anonymous person with Uzaki-chan profile picture. Yeah, so that's kind of the deal. So yeah, I just hope if Blue Sky Social manages to get good footing and everything, I hope that it ends up getting some level of success that can put it better than Twitter, because Lord knows, I think people are kind of ready for a new space where they can have somewhat of a better time. It's like the meme with the gumball having a Discord moderator look. Yeah. Okay, so VidMe. VidMe was a video hosting service that launched to the public in 2014. It described itself as a hybrid between video hosting, YouTube, and social media news site Reddit. It shut down I thought it shut down in 2018. Okay. Yeah. It doesn't look like it's still. Yeah, it's gone. It's been down for a while. But yeah, it had backing from some people back in like 2014 and 15, but it just it just could not get the major pushes that it needed in a financial sense to keep stable, or a push in like the publicity sense and get people to actually come by the platform. Whereas Tumblr is a clown circus that regularly gets sincere like a clown support group. Yeah. Or Neil Gaiman putting a clown nose and wig on himself and clowning his fans and them clowning with him. Speaking of Neil Gaiman, I actually got American Gods on audiobooks, so sometime in the future I'm gonna actually start listening to that, because my only experience with Neil Gaiman's books are through Neverwhere and Norse mythology. Both good reads. I would recommend them. But I hear American Gods is like one. I don't know if it is his magnum opus, but I hear that's one that people really, really like. And I saw the first episode of like the Stars TV series of American Gods, and I thought it was interesting. It was well acted, but it was really weird. Like, really, really strange. And I guess if I want to go by another example, I also saw the Netflix Sandman series, which was also a good watch. Still weird, but a good watch. We made up a mafia movie that never existed. See, that just sounds like a fun little community dive. Oh, excuse me, I'm stretching my back. Oh. There we go. Oh. These things kind of look like the botchling from Witcher 3. Actually, speaking of Witcher, I really don't know if I want to. I don't know what to feel about the new Witcher series, or the new season. Good Omens is also top tier in my opinion. I hear good things. Maybe I should get on that, because I can watch Prime through my folks' account. I can see it there. Get to see David Tennant as a demon guy. I do like from the bits I've heard, I do like the sense of humor of the show, where, you know, like the demon character, like the only scene I heard, and this was from my dad reading the book that I got him for Christmas, was the demon character talking to a bystander while I think Jesus is getting crucified, and the guy is essentially asking this bystander, hey, what'd that guy do? And he said, oh, he was telling the people they ought to love and tolerate each other. And he just turns back to the viewing of this and he goes, I'll do it. The book is lovely and Neil worked hard to keep the show accurate. Yeah, that's something I respect from him. Honestly, The Witcher probably could have used that same touch. Or the same push to keep book accurate, which... It's like not every adaptation needs to stay super accurate to its source material, because sometimes some things work in a book that wouldn't work in a show. But I don't know. Part of me just feels like sometimes the showrunners just want to make their own unique thing sometimes, and it's like, then make your own unique fucking thing. You don't need to like go into these like new... Like, you don't need to invent plot points for this story you're adapting, you know? That's what it feels like sometimes when it comes to adaptations that are complained about, is that sometimes the movie, like the screenplay writers, the showrunners, or what have you, just feel like they get the time to invent a new storyline for this thing that they're making that's based on a property. And it's like, no... The games did that already, and they did it better than you did, frankly. I've got 6. I should be fine. All right, I've got 6. So let's grab my souls. Where are they? Where the fuck are my souls? There they are. But yeah, my complaints with the Witcher Netflix series is pretty much just that, where it feels like the screenwriters try to invent or bring in a new story that definitely was not in the books. And I don't know, I'm not sure if I like that. But then we wouldn't get the money of a built-in audience. Yeah, exactly. It's like you already you got the built-in audience when people saw Henry Cavill being cool and hot. Did you seriously need... I don't know, like... Because a lot of people... I just think there are certain points where an adaptation changing some things is fine, warranted even. Well, good talk. I need to get going now. Thanks for dropping by, gamer. Sorry for getting a bit ranty about social platforms and bitching about adaptations.
We are indebted to you.
Yeah, I'm just of the mind that there are some changes that are welcome and some changes that are not welcome. What The Witcher did from season, like, roughly halfway to season 2 onward from what I'm imagining, is not welcome. It's stuff you need to get off your chest and didn't bother me at all. Yeah, it's... Because this stews in my head for a while, and I'm like, I need to discuss this with somebody, you know, like, because this is an interesting point of discussion, because... The story of The Witcher as it's going on now does not resemble, as far as I know, stuff from the OG books. Because I read the books before the Netflix series came out. What was it? open to talk about stuff with. Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you for listening in. Hope the rest of your night's good.
I was worried sick.
But yeah, the specified complaints that I have, I guess, you know, spoilers, I suppose, for season 2 of The Witcher. There's this new plot point that they bring in where apparently these weird hybrid monsters that apparently had not ever existed in the world of The Witcher just are suddenly cropping up, and they are like being invasive to the environment, and they are being a hindrance to all, and it's like, oh, it's so bad, it's not, we need to fix this, Geralt, and such. And it's like, huh, like they didn't need to invent a reason for more monsters to be in the show. That was not an element of the books. Actually, that's it. That's what I think the problem is. Like, the stuff they bring in feels like it does not feel like an element related to the story in any capacity. Like, they want to bring in a new element. They want to bring in an element that's at least indicative of the original story. Do that. Like, expand on a character, maybe with some extra scenes or something. Or, you all know what I mean? Like, stuff like that. But then when you have shit like, we're bringing in a straight-up new plot point because we thought that there weren't enough plot points in the original story. God. Actually, now that I think about it, Lost in Adaptation tackles a lot of these same topics regarding changes and additions. Yeah. And I also remember watching the YouTube series What's the Difference? That explains it on a more like, hey, here's why they chose this kind of mentality, which is like nice, but I don't know. Like, I'm just of the mind that if you're gonna add something, at least make it be related to the story you're adapting. If you're gonna invent new plot points, at that point, make your own fucking show with the money you're making with this adaptation. Like, there was one character in particular in season 2 that had that had this motivation that came up about them that really didn't sit well with me. And it was actually roughly the same point where I had this thing where, you know, Geralt and the guy that discovers the monster thing, it's roughly the same thing. The character of Vesemir, the mentor of the Witchers, he has this point where he discovers from one of the characters, like, oh, if we siphon the blood from this person, we could be able to backwards use it to, I forget the chemical version of it, but like, we could make new Witchers with using her blood, this character's blood as a component. You know, we could finally restore the School of the Wolf. More Witchers can be born into the world. And I never, in any capacity, got that vibe off of Vesemir in the books or the games. Like, Vesemir's character in the books and games is just a tired old man who saw the birth of Witchers in the hundreds and eventually grew tired of the practice, being like, nope, our time has come. You know, the history of the Witchers will be an open and closed shut case, no more. Technology and means of combating monsters has advanced to the degree that we don't need Witchers anymore, and you know, and monsters themselves are becoming a dying breed thanks to how well we did our jobs before. So yeah, but then like Vesemir in the series is like, yes, more Witchers, more Witchers, more Witchers, and here I sit being like, huh? Like a scene exploring something that was internal monologue in the book. Yeah, like, something like that is better than what was happening there, because that just feels like they full-on just changed the character because they thought that was more interesting. I don't know. And it's like, when I was thinking about all this stuff, it dawned on me like, oh shit, like Lord of the Rings book fans or like Percy Jackson original movie watchers and Percy Jackson book enjoyers. My God, I understand their pain now. I get it. I feel like Danny DeVito in that one scene that keeps getting memed. Like, I understand it now. I can understand it. But on the other side of things, it's like, I want to give the benefit of the doubt. I want the adaptation to, at the very least, you know, somewhat stay faithful. But then they added those things in season 2, and I was like, fuck, they're not. They're gonna try and do their own thing. God fucking damn it. And then the Henry Cavill recast happened, and that feels like the final nail in the coffin, because say what you will about Cavill in terms of like prior acting roles, his name got the series a lot of attention, and it also he wasn't a bad Geralt, it turns out. But you know, not to mention he's also passionate about the series, read the books and played the games himself. Character changes like that can work if they are used as a reason to uncover an imposter. No, that was not the case. Literally, it was like Vesemir's treating this person's wounds or something, and actually, I can say what the scene exactly might be like from my memory. So, this character, Ciri, is a person of interest for many different parties in the universe of The Witcher. One of the main characters of the series. She's injured, lying down because there was a huge fight that happened that led to the death of a few Witchers. And Vesemir and this sorceress by the name of Triss are trying to treat her wounds. And Triss notices that like this really weird flower, and she's like, I saw this on our trail. And Vesemir goes, hey, I know that flower. That blooms when near elder blood or when it's hit with elder blood. Elder blood being like apparently a super important genetic trait. And Ciri happens to have it because it was like a weird passed down one generation but skips another generation kind of ability. It's family tree stuff. And Vesemir goes like, she has elder blood. If we could somehow retrograde that. Yeah, I'll call it retrograde. If we could somehow retrofit this, we could be able to make elixirs to have the trial of the grasses again and make more Witchers. And Triss is like looking at Vesemir in confusion, being like, wait, you want to continue the Witchers? Why do you want to continue that? And it's like, yeah, why do you want to continue that, Vesemir? That's not the vibe I got from you in the books, man. Like, I won't say outright character assassination, because character assassination, reverse engineer. Thank you. God, that was going to bug me for the rest of the night. Character assassination would be like, oh no, you do have the established character, but then you just choose to like completely scrap it mid-series and then just make them different. Whereas like new character syndrome is like, they look like the character, probably sound like the character, but they sure as shit aren't acting like the character. But it has been a few years since I read the book, so maybe I'm misremembering some things, but to my mind, Vesemir, in my memory, all that happened in the books with Vesemir and the other Witchers and Ciri and Geralt was they tried to get Triss to talk with Ciri because her bloodline also allowed her the ability to see into people's futures. And she has had that pop up at random, and it got the Witchers to be really uncomfortable. So they're like, this is a magic that none of us know. We need to get a sorceress here. That's it. That's all that it. That's all that it was. No fucking random. No random people turning into tree monsters. No. No fucking. Game of Thrones had that happen in the last season. I hear. Yeah, I avoided Game of Thrones. Like, one, because it was an HBO and I couldn't afford to have it, and two, like, apparently, yeah, those last seasons are apparently hot garbage. Hot garbage. All right, so before I go fight a lot, I'm gonna go throw away my horchata cup, and I'm gonna use the restroom. So, turn on the ads for a hot second. So, yeah, you all go stretch, drink some water, maybe use the restroom yourselves, and we'll be right back with, how many times are we gonna teach you this lesson, old man? The ad break. So, we're gonna try and fight Alon again. Ooh. I've also personally purged the original Percy Jackson films from my brain out of rage. Literally the only thing that I know of the movies from what I remember seeing of the first one was Medusa had sunglasses. The characters were put in high school instead of like the intermediate to middle school range like they were in the books. And that's it, I think. Like, I don't remember much else outside of that, because I saw the first movie when I was really young. All right. Let's get to fighting this guy. So yeah, I had a couple close attempts with Allant in the past, but sadly, there's this one move that he does, not the level draining move. That one's actually fairly easy to avoid. But there's this move that he does where he like hammers his sword down on you like 4 or 6 times, I think, and it drains my fucking stamina and health. I was out of the mind to demand my ticket money back. Yeah, I hear it's that bad. I remember people saying it is indeed that bad. I haven't read the books and I don't remember much from the movies, but hopefully the Disney Plus series does that franchise justice. All right, let's do it. Okay, it's 3 hits. That 3-hit move has been a bane to my life. Yeah, I was trying to roll away, but he breaks my guard. That's the problem. He breaks my guard so quickly with that attack. Anyway, beat old man Jenkins. Yeah, like he's a tough fight. He's a tough fight. You know, so I had a conversation recently with a friend of mine about the Souls series, specifically Elden Ring, and for those that have been watching my streams mostly on YouTube, I have done some more streams of Elden Ring as sort of a means of updating and also to finally maybe play a bit more of that game just so I can be a bit on the bandwagon, but what the fuck? My feelings on that game my feelings on Souls in general has just kind of declined in terms of care, I suppose, regarding, well, not care, more like interest, like the strong interest that I remember a lot of people having regarding Souls, and even the guy that, like, this friend I talked to is a person that I got into the Souls series who is now obsessed with it, and you know, here I am just being like, nah. I had my period of that, and when I play a Souls game now, I find them more, like, emotionally exhausting rather than invigorating to play. Does that make sense? Like, that's the way I didn't describe it very well to this friend when I was talking to him, but I did bring up, like, yeah, that's kind of how I feel. That's how I felt, and I couldn't convey it well to him. Emotionally, more exhausting than fun to play sometimes. Because, like, I understand they're meant to be difficult. I understand they're meant to have, you know, this, like, challenge to them where you really master their mechanics and everything. But worse off with Elden Ring than most of the others is this sense of, like, the games really do just sometimes dick you around a little bit. You know, to put it lightly sometimes, because let's face it, I have had moments in a boss fight where, you know, an attack can come out of left field, or an attack can just absolutely crush me in the middle of a fight, and you know, sometimes there's just nothing you can do about it. Like that 3-hit combo from Alant, I hate that more than I hate the soul level move, because the soul level drain move has a bigger windup that shows, hey, get out in time, or else you're gonna lose a level. Versus, hey, here's a sudden 3-hit attack that can come out about as quickly as a sneeze, and suddenly, like 60% of your health and all of your stamina are gone, and also I can do this twice in a row. Does that sound like fun? Again, I get that difficulty is a lot of the appeal, but there's a certain point where the appeal for me on that just kind of falters. And I have and again, I say Elden Ring is a lot worse off on this because Elden Ring's boss fights had kind of Elden Ring's boss fights are a very specific kind of problem, have a very specific kind of issue. Of just trying to, like, make every fight feel grandiose and, like, intricate and cool, but sometimes maybe those grandiose, intricate, and cool things kind of make a player frustrated when they have to time all this shit out. Like, I don't know. And I told him this as well, and maybe this is like a skill issue thing with me, but I told him essentially that I didn't like how Elden Ring made me feel like my build was not like the build the game wanted me to have for like one or two kind of fights, you know? Like, there's a couple fights, one that I'm currently stuck on, where I legitimately feel like the game is telling me, no, you're playing wrong, or no, you did your build wrong. But, again, it may be a skill issue on my part. But I don't have as much fun as I used to have. And, in general, it just... And that's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling whenever you realize I'm not having fun with this anymore. Because then it just kind of feels like you're the sourpuss in the party, you know? You're the wallflower that just kind of stays for 10 minutes, pets the dog, and then leaves. You know, it's like... So, that's kind of why maybe after Demon's Souls, I'm not gonna play another Souls game for a while. I mean, shit, I'm probably even thinking about hanging up on Elden Ring for a while because, as I said, like, despite wanting to maybe be in on the deal, as it were, with a lot of bosses and such, like, I just stopped having fun. Speaking of someone with a reaction time deficit, same. Yeah, and the thing is, it's not so much the reaction time stuff. There are things I can react, like, my deal is not a reaction time deficit. My deal is just, like, how much fun do I feel like I'm having when I fought a boss that, like, does this one specific attack, like, a few times, and it just feels like there is barely, if any, avoidance of it. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a weird case or something. But I've got my other hyperfixations. Like, I've got Outer Wilds, I've got Live Alive, Octopath. I've got other games I'm more interested in continuing on. In fact, I plan on beating this game tonight, but when I do, and when I sign off stream tonight, I'll let y'all know now, the next game that I'm gonna look at is the Outer Wilds DLC, because I hear that game's DLC is really, 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 really good. So, yeah, I'm gonna take a look at that. Although I hear the DLC is also a lot more like horror-like versus the main game, so this would be a good thing I don't have a heart rate monitor. Yeah, my Souls hyperfixation kind of stopped around when Dark Souls 3 came. No, I think maybe around the time of the first Elden Ring trailer. Funnily enough, I don't know. It was around that like 2018 to 19. Dude, I found the Legends Arceus boss fight stressful. Dark Souls would actually kill me. Oh no, Dark Souls would probably snap you in half in terms of sanity. Really sucks that I can't inflict a hit on this guy. Is he gonna spam that move like 2 or 3 times like he did before? No. Shit. You're not getting that off on me twice, dude. Ow. Really? Do you see this shit? Do you see this shit? Like... That was not... There was no pause between any of that. I don't know. I also just feel like there was no wind-up. That's the issue, is that there's not much of a wind-up. So any time that I could try to avoid, it's just... It's like nothing. I don't know. I probably shouldn't get tilted this early, but... You see what I mean, though, right? Sometimes there are just fights that just... Pull the... Like... There's some fights that just do some stuff that irks me. But yeah, like, Souls definitely is not for everybody, you know, and it just, I just, you know, acknowledge that, and I also just acknowledge, yeah, it's just not for me anymore. Oh, hey, you can punch real good. You lasted longer than I thought you would. Yeah. Sometimes it's just... Sometimes there are just moments where I just, you know, die to a fight repeatedly, and I don't just go like, okay, like... I try my strategies and everything, but there's a certain point where I just kind of look at my predicament and look at, like, how much, like, at what point does the fight stop feeling exhilarating and more like I'm taking an exam and not in a fun way, you know, like, where does it start to feel like I'm taking one of those, like, like, test situations that are, like, involved with the test scores, you know? There's just a point. There's just like this like point where I feel it stops being fun, and my pace and flow just falter. Again, could be a skill issue thing, and you know, obviously there are a lot of people that probably will just be like, well, maybe you just needed to change your build up, or maybe you picked the some stuff that might not have worked well, or maybe you could have leveled up this. Standardized test. Yeah, that's what it was. Standardized test the video game. Oh, God. But yeah, like, it just... I don't feel... Like, in some cases, I just don't feel exhilarated. I just feel annoyed and frustrated sometimes. I really wish I could get the bleed on him. If I could inflict the bleed, that'd be good, but I know I can't. That's how much damage that would do. No. No, 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 no. This is fine. This is fine. This is all good. You're all good. You piece of shit! Of course he picked then of all times. Like right there, I didn't feel the adrenaline of fighting him and possibly winning. I was feeling the rush of like, oh God, when's he gonna do the thing? Oh God, when's he gonna do the thing? Oh God, when is the math question gonna come up in the test? Really do need a faster stamina regen thing, but I have no clue where I'd even find it. Yeah, that was like I was halfway there. I had a routine, and then he just breaks up my shit and makes it so I can't, like, roll out of his move. And I just lost a level in stamina now because of that. Have I properly conveyed why I feel the way I do about the Souls games? Like, I hope I explained my feelings well enough. Like, it's not to say that I don't find some moments enjoyable, or some designs cool, or some music grandiose, even if there are some occasions where a lot of the choir music sounds kind of the same. It's just a matter of, like, there's a certain point when playing one of these games where the fun for me just stops. It just stops, and it does not come back. Well, not to say it doesn't come back, but the fun just kind of doesn't commence. If Jimothy has 38 candy bars and the king shivs him, does he need? If God, imagine a Souls playing math teacher words a question like this. If Billy has 37 levels in his soul leveling, and then King Allant drains him of 5 in the middle of his boss fight, how many levels does Jimmy have left? This question is worth half the testing points, so make sure you get it right. Yeah, I knew this was going to take a bit of a stream to do, not just for the resource gathering, but also because this guy is such a bastard of a fight. Yeah, it's there's just a point that it's just I stop having fun. Like, not to say that I don't see the appeal, because I used to be in it, but the appeal for me just kind of faltered because I was just like, it's just, I find this more like headache-inducing than legitimately. I find this more headache-inducing. Bill, Dungeon Inspector, used to be a math teacher. Yeah, sadly, the budget of being a teacher does not exactly pan out super well. I'd rather be an interdimensional dungeon inspector. I found out my passion lied more in critiquing dungeons and architecture and level structure. Alright, Grandpa's a bit gassy. Yeah, damn steak tastes. Yeah. Oh, Grandpa had one too much Taco Bell, huh?
Those ancient powers of the Taco Bell chalupas. They gave old King Alont a mighty power.
Anything I'm thankful about these Demon Souls fights is that they don't have a harder second phase like in Bloodborne. Is it because I'm a certain distance? The king is angry old man. Is the angry old man of the Dark Souls universe. Back in my day, yeah.
Back in my day, chalupas didn't cause this kind of stuff.
Actually, no, he's British, so it'd be.
Back in my time, chalupas had not caused this level of strife upon mine systems.
That was really close. I've played that sound 3 times for emphasis. It is done. Oh. God, I felt a couple times there, my stamina was low, my guard broke, and I saw him charge the move. I swear, if that pip didn't come up and I didn't dodge, I would have had a heart attack and died. Oh. I would have had a heart attack. Holy shit.
How did you defeat my demonic reflection? How many souls might you have devoured, I wonder?
Well, as the great Dio Brando says, do you remember how many breads
Shout
you've
to the
eaten?
old one. If it is to be, then you shall be beckoned.
Also, wait, we actually beat this a lot sooner than I expected. Wait. I thought this would end up taking a lot longer. Oh shit. You just beat Old Man Jenkins. What are you gonna do now? I'm gonna... I don't know, probably... I don't know what to do. I don't know, I thought that would take way longer.
See, now this is why you make sure that your statues for your video game are nice and structurally sound. Not that I don't mind a nice aesthetic. I mean, frankly, that's some of the cool... That is a really neat statue with the giant sword, but without proper support, you know, you end up with a crashed floor like this.
Hark, I hear a voice of yore. The one calls for thee. Let us proceed below to its lair.
Can I level up with you? No? Okay. So yeah, we're meeting the apparent old one, like the thing that was responsible for all this weird demon mess. Oh shit. Oh, I feel you ever just go through like the... You know what? I feel like I just took my driver's test again. That's it. It feels like I just got my driver's test again. Whew. Anyway, that's the old one. Kind of looks like Lavos from Chrono Trigger. Gonna visit Cthulhu? I mean, Cthulhu-ish. Actually, yeah, it does look a lot like Lavos. Yeah, this took a lot less time than I thought it would. Like, honestly, I would not have known what to have happened if, like, after the grinding of ephemeral stones in, like, the one level I did, I would just, like, win the fight first go of the stream. I would have legitimately not known what to do. But we're here now.
I have granted thy wish. A new demon. Come now, be good.
Come now, be good. I'll give you your favorite Scooby Snack duplicate if you manage to treat this guest nicely. So yeah, this thing is like the primordial thing that caused everything. Oh God, I just felt the biggest relief. Also, I just realized I didn't talk to the other NPCs before I went in. Oh well. Can I head back up there? Oh, I can. So I can still talk to them. Cool. Return to the Nexus? Yeah. I don't know if I just need to, like, I don't know. She's still up here? No. I don't know how I'm supposed to get souls levels then.
Well, you found yourself a demon soul, did you?
Oh, the blacksmith. Nope, blacksmith's still there.
Yes, indeed I am. Stay the path, and you will soon be a monster yourself. Can't you see? You've fallen for their trap.
Not like me. I just like to be misanthropic and sit here and laugh in a very dark sense.
No, don't mention it. It's the least I... Fine.
Wait, really? No, nothing else?
No, don't mention it. Have you ever visited? The bog there is...
Valley of
filled.
Defilement.
I reckon they...
Really? Nothing? I'd have figured they'd have some special dialogue after I just beat them. After I beat the... Okay. And I guess I can't level up with the souls that I acquired. Because she's just sitting at the beach. She's like, come in, the water's perfect. This gaping demon's maw will be a perfect place to set up our new Airbnb. We'll charge a high premium rate, and then when we get an eviction notice, we're not going to tell the guests that are going to stay there.
Let us proceed below to its lair.
Okay. That was a video I saw recently where like some people were planning to stay at like this Airbnb that was like a different apartment. Like an apartment that was repurposed as an Airbnb, which I think is the dumbest thing ever. And I also think is incredibly invasive to the housing market, but that's a different conversation. And apparently that apartment unit got a eviction notice for the person that owned it. So the people that got the Airbnb were essentially just left in this apartment complex's lobby. And this lady is trying to call up the person that owns that unit or rented it to try and get their money back. So yeah, Airbnbs, mixed bag, mixed to negative.
You have been chosen by the Old One. Will you seek the everlasting demon souls? Or has the monumental blinded you? Whatever your choice, you are our first visitor. May you be welcome here. Surely you have seen for yourself
Oh.
the pain and suffering that fills this world. But God is merciful, and so created the Old One. Poison to poison.
Oh, this is real form.
Will feed upon
I mean, he
our
said like it was a
souls,
demonic visage
through this
that I fought earlier. So I guess this is kind of like an like meant to show like, nah, this is what happens when he lets power corrupt him or something. You were cooler in your other form, albeit more of a pain in the ass. By the power of God and anime, I will slay thee.
You fool! Don't you understand? No one wishes to go on.
I awoke to find myself alone in a dark wood. And now I get his horrifically impractical sword. I get his sword that he bought I bought this sword from a Renaissance fair. They claimed it was indeed the slayer of demons.
Slayer of demons, go back above. The Nexus shall imprison thee no longer.
This is what you're hearing here is the sound coming from my controller.
I shall lull the Old One back to slumber.
Okay. Well, I know there are two endings. I kill her and then become the new Old One. Or, and this is the ending I'd much rather do, I leave.
My thanks. At last, the end is...
Oh, you interrupted my voice line? Oh, not very cool of you. Alright. Well, I figured I was gonna be here for like 3 or 4 hours. Actually, probably 3.5 hours fighting King Gallant. But I guess the routine that I had of attack only twice worked.
Was swept back into the lulling fog. Boletaria was spared from the demons, but also lost its knowledge of the soul arts. The souls lost during the pandemonium were never retrieved. And today, the unstable world has another monumental to hold its fabric together. A brave new hero of unprecedented power.
The power of cheese tactics by which he adopted. All right. Well, that was Demon Souls. Blue Point Games, the people that did this remaster, y'all deserve a fucking, like, my gripes with this game is more like predicated through all the Souls series. I will say Blue Point did a great job with this. Like, they made the graphics and sound, like, they advanced it to such a degree that is really impressive. So I'm glad I got to play this. They also did the same thing with the Shadow of the Colossus remake. Yeah. I think it's more of a remake. But yeah, I left the demon and her to just kind of be away, and now the land is back to normal, he says, as there's a pulsating gigantic heart on screen. Okay. Well, this turned out a bit shorter than I expected. I thought I'd be here for a lot longer. Like, I was actually buckled in for a longer stream, potentially, but nope. Thank you all for joining the stream tonight. It's been really fun. As I said, now that I've beaten this, the next thing I'm gonna do is the Outer Wilds DLC, so expect streams of that to start up sometime in the future. And, yeah. As to whether or not I'll probably do whatever Souls game next, honestly, Armor Core 6 looks more intriguing to me right now. If I can be completely honest. Like, Armor Core 6 looks more interesting. I'm not sure if I'll play Sekiro, although I hear that is the least Souls-ish of the Souls series, but I don't know if... I don't know. I don't know if I want to do that. Yeah. Yeah, Memory of Takashi Kaji. Okay, Kaji. And to Andrew O'Neill. Rest in peace to them. But yeah, I'd say this was at least a fun time. Albeit, you know, caveated ahead with how down my opinions kind of became with the Souls series as I had played the entries. Like, there was just a certain point that where the enjoyment of it just died for me a little bit. And now that I have this under my belt, so far all of the Souls games that I have played, or at least played to beat, are Bloodborne, Dark Souls 1, and this. I've not played Dark Souls 2. I remember playing a good ways into Dark Souls 3, but I think I got stuck or I got bored. Something like that. And then Elden Ring, I mean, shit, y'all are knowing how I'm feeling about that game. And Sekiro I have not played at all. But yeah, I think maybe my chapter of streaming the Souls games is probably going to be closed for a good while. I don't know if I'll pick up another one of the games for a stream. Possibly I may, but I'm not, but no holding breaths on that. Honestly, there are other games I'm a bit more interested in wanting to play. But yeah, I wouldn't say I had a horrible time here. I thought some things were nice. I did like getting to see how Blue Point reimagined this game in terms of its look, its feel, its sound. God, especially its sound. Like, I don't know how they captured a lot of the sound designs they had with this, with like the thunking, the clunk or something of sword on shield. That was really cool to hear. As much as I hate those mantas that were flying around the Stormvale area, not Stormvale, that's the Storm region with the big manta rays. Like, the sound design of those things kind of making noises as they're flying around, that was really good. The magic sounds all had a really distinctive like sound to it. It sound like the game's sound design is really good. Even the stuff that would come out of the PS5 controller. Albeit, I don't know, outside of maybe that, I'm really not understanding the gimmick behind like sound from controller. I don't know how immersive that's meant to be, but then again, like, innovation in the console industry is kind of not gone past what was done with the PS4 era and Xbox One era, I think. Which is not a controversial opinion to have. In fact, nowadays it's a bit more apt in terms to say, like, yeah, outside of like the graphical advancements that we have with this generation, it just kind of feels like where else can consoles go to innovate or to change? Like, because at this point they are pushing closer to be around the PC power range, just possibly with some exclusives. But the thing that word, exclusives, for consoles is not becoming super apt now, because this generation of consoles has had next to nothing as far as exclusivity goes. Like, there's Final Fantasy 16 and this for PlayStation. Xbox has that Game Pass thing, but that's mostly for all of their backwards compatible stuff. I don't know what else they could possibly have. And the other thing is like, so people are now like, oh, well, what's the investment for PS5 then? What's the reason to get it? And that's a good question. Maybe it's not worth getting it. Maybe it's just worth having PC and Switch. But my mind is, one, due to me having PC, Switch, and PS5, I possibly can get some good deals on games on one platform where there wouldn't be on another. And the other thing is the prospect of playing most of my PlayStation 4 library without my console sounding like a jet engine. That's the deal. That's my idea. Because I wasn't so much concerned about the exclusives of PS5. I was concerned about, hey, can I play my PS4 games on it? And how good is the console's cooling system so it doesn't sound like this? Like, how good will it sound to not sound like that? So, the fact that it hasn't, even with this game, which has fairly high graphical fidelity, I'd say I like my investment, because, you know, I got to play Witcher 3 a while ago, and there was no big whirring of a jet engine. It's just nice. It's just nice to have that. It dreams of flying one day. Yeah, but the PS4 dreams of flying one day, but sadly its turbine lacks the capacity to get it off the ground. Like, that, and granted, I could have probably gotten a PS4 Pro, which would have roughly solved I don't know how much that would have solved the problem, though. And plus, you know, despite me saying, hey, not a lot of exclusives this year, there were some exclusives that have caught my attention. Final Fantasy 16, despite me not being as much of a Final Fantasy fan, legitimately looks awesome. And I have not seen any more trailers out of other things. Out your window, when you throw it, yeah. Or in my case, when I sell it to someone. But yeah, I just think that with this current generation, literally the only console, if anything, Sony and Microsoft can probably stop with the console stuff for a little while and just focus on game publication and making and such. The only ones that need to try and continue to innovate to catch up, I suppose, would be Nintendo. Not in the graphics department, albeit some people would probably prefer Nintendo to get something that has a bit more fidelity. But some are saying like on the power scale situation, because there are some games on Switch that I hear are decent ports, save for like the frame rate, you know? But my mind with Nintendo is just that they are doing their own thing, and whatever innovations they attempt to do is like up to them as much as it's up to Sony and Microsoft. I don't know, I just feel like this generation of consoles feels like it's probably like the least justified. Like this may be the last console generation where I try to actively buy a console, you know? Like if the PS6 gets announced, or if the Xbox, God, what would they even name their next Xbox? Because they've been terrible about their naming. If the Xbox 10 out of 10 gets released, I don't think I'd get it unless an exclusive that I want is only coming out for that. But the other issue with exclusives is like, it can lead to, when that console loses steam, that it will also not be revisited any time in the future. I mean, we've talked about, Nintendo obviously not bringing old stuff to new hardware all the time, but Sony and Microsoft have their problems with that too. Like, one game that I think would probably make some cool rounds, if it's by remaster or remake, Infamous and Infamous 2, I think would be a big thing for a lot of people, because I remember people loved those games. And on Xbox's side, there's a role-playing game called Lost Odyssey that I've heard tales of that sounds really good. Sounds really good. But neither of those are being really available for new consoles. I mean, I don't know about, I just hope, I don't know. I just hope at the very least, Sony and Microsoft and PlayStation and everything just hopefully get the message that, hey, people are kind of like ho-humming about the console situation. Maybe stop focusing on trying to innovate with your new consoles as the big money thing and just focus on publishing cool games. That'd be the nice thing, but we don't live in a perfect world, sadly. So who knows, maybe the PS6 will get announced within the next year or two or something. You'll probably just catch me getting to play more games on this in terms of trying to not deal with graphics headache-inducing stuff like with my Resident Evil 4 streams. Which, by the way, RE4 Remake I do plan on streaming. It's just I want to save a little money before I attempt to do any more with that. All right. Well,
Soul of the lost withdrawn from its vessel.
And of course, much like any Souls game,
Let strength be granted so the
we have a
world
new
might
game
be
plus.
mended. Soul of the lost withdrawn from its vessel. Let strength be granted so the world might be mended. So the world might be mended.
And there I am. Every Souls game has that new game plus where you just start off exactly where you started with all your levels and all your equipment, but the enemies are harder.
This is the Nexus. It holds together the northern land of Bullet.
Did you seriously just interrupt my speech? Alright, well, that's gonna be it for me. So thank you all for joining my rambling alongside my fucking heart pounding like crazy in that boss fight. Again, this was at least shorter than I expected it to be. You know, considering the last stream I did of this was like a bit, God, was it like 4 or 3 hours? I don't remember, but I thought I was going to be in for a long haul with that fight, especially if I lost all the ephemeral stones and then had to go back to the plague area and then get some more, but turned out to not be the case. So, yeah, thank you all for joining me tonight. It's been really fun. I'll keep you all posted about any news stuff that I have for my streams, and I'll see you then. Bye. Oh, stay hydrated and keep your postures checked.